Allah is my heart's speech, your mercy is what I beseech. Keep in my heart your remembrance, and in your deen allow me to advance. Help me in my quest, permit me to pass the ultimate test. Help me in my quest, permit me to pass the ultimate test.
Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim. Alhamdulillah. Wassalatu wassalamu ala nabiyyihi wa mustafah. Nabiyyina Muhammadin wa ala alihi wa sahbihi wa man walah. Praise be to Allah alone. We all praise Him and we seek His help. Whomsoever Allah guides is a truly guided one, and whomsoever Allah leaves astray, no one can show him guidance. May the peace and blessings be upon Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wasallam. Dear brothers and sisters, welcome to a new episode of Ask Huda. As a reminder, in the beginning, the phone numbers are area code 0020238555248 or 249, and the email address is ask@huda.tv. We'll be more than happy to receive your live calls and questions as soon as possible, inshallah. By the time I get to answer some of the pending questions from the last episode. Abu Bakr from Nigeria deposited a question with us last time, which says if someone is married and having difficulty with their husband, can she ask for a divorce? There is no way out for the problem. I also remember that she said that they have not tried to reconcile nor to resolve the issues which is pending between them. Every marriage life on earth, even in the life of Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam with some of his spouses, there are problems, and there will be problems because we're human beings, and this is dunya, this is not heaven. So we're subject to having trouble and problems, different opinions, and so on. But Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala taught us how to resolve these issues, how to diffuse a problem before it grows bigger and bigger, and it ends up, as you say, in that you wanted to ask for a divorce. In almost every case we get involved in marriage counseling, when the wife is asking for a divorce before even trying to reconcile or resolve the issue, she says, I want to get divorced. When we sit and when we talk, we find out that in many cases the problem is very easy to solve, and she does not really mean what she says. Okay? And that's why Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said the last resort is divorce, and it does not take place before the following step. He said, إن خفتم شقاق بينهما فابعثوا حكما من أهله وحكما من أهلها إن يريد إصلاحا يوفق الله بينهما. So the last serious step in resolving this issue is to send arbitrators, one from her family and one from his family. And the word hakam is used in order to describe the nature and the traits of the arbitrators. They have to be wise people with experience and with the intention of trying to resolve the problem, not to make it worse. Some people actually, when they intervene, they make it worse, and they make a small problem, they turn it to a huge one, and they end up in finding a divorce. That's why Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said, إِن يُرِيدَ إِصْلَاحًا. If they both desire to fix the problem, يُوَفِّقِ اللَّهُ بَيْنَهُمَا. Allah will give them success and reconcile between them. The interpreters differed with regards to the pronoun of يُرِيدَ. If they both, does it refer to the couple, the husband and wife, or does it refer to the arbitrators? حَكَمًا مِنْ أَهْلِهِ وَحَكَمًا مِنْ أَهْلِهَا. In other case, if the arbitrators are sincere, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will cause them to reconcile. If the husband and wife really intend to reconcile, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will make it easy for them to reconcile. So I advise you, sister, before thinking about divorce, because divorce, I remember asking you and you said that you do have young children. There is a list of consequences that come with a divorce. So one has to be careful before asking for a divorce. By the end, if life is impossible, is it permissible for a woman to ask her husband to divorce her? Well, the hadith says, if a woman asks her husband to divorce her without a legitimate reason, just because she wants out, فَحَرَامٌ عَلَيْهَا رَائِحَةُ الْجَنَّةِ, she will not find the fragrance of paradise. But if there is a reason or legitimate reasons, then it is, of course, permissible. And in this case, there is the form of al-khul', which we discussed before. We have a phone call. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Munir from Yemen. Assalamu alaikum.
Wa alaikum salam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
Go ahead, Munir. Go ahead, please.
First,
Yes.
thank you for the Huda program. I have one question. Please, can you explain the meaning of a dream by the Prophet ﷺ when Ali and Fatima went to see him? Hello?
Yes, sister, if you can clarify your question and speak continuously, because I cannot get even... Go ahead.
When the Prophet ﷺ, they found him crying and he said that...
No, I'm sorry. You please try to call from a better phone line. Thank you, Munir. Try again, please. Abrar from KSA, and again, I'm not going to say neither brother or sister, but I guess it will be a brother. Abrar?
Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi
Wa alaikum salam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
How are you doing, Sheikh?
Alhamdulillah wa shukrullah. How are you, Abrar?
Alhamdulillah Rabbil Alameen. May Allah bless you with Jannat al-Firdaus.
And you too. Thank you so much.
I have a few questions. Two are actually from me and two from my wife. First question is, while lying down or sleeping, is it permissible to sleep on your stomach? You know, as some at times you lie upside down. Your back is up and your stomach's down.
No.
Second question is nursery rhymes, which they teach in kindergarten, all that. Is that allowed? Third question is...
What was the second question again, Abrar?
Nursery rhymes. The rhymes that they teach in nursery, like Baba Black Sheep, Jack and Jill, and so on and so on. Are these allowed? Are they permissible in Islam?
Okay.
Third question is, what is the role of hurs in Jannah? My wife was asking that if a husband is going to be with his wife, inshallah, bi'idhnillah, in Jannah, what is the role of hurs? So I was like, I'll ask you and we will find out, inshallah. And also if you can give a little enlightenment about the seven skies. What are they about?
Okay.
These are my four questions, if you could answer them. And thank you very much. Jazakallah khair.
Wa jazakum. Okay, Abu Radwan from India. Assalamu alaikum.
Assalamu alaikum. How are you, Sheikh?
Alhamdulillah, Abu Radwan. How are you?
Alhamdulillah, Sheikh. Sheikh, last time I asked a question regarding like some persons, they are going on the duty, but like they are not working, they are not going,
and they get
not
paid.
Working proper their required fields.
Hmm.
You know, but they are doing they are working at the same hours, like 8 hours or 10 hours. They are on the job, but they don't complete their required duty. You know, they're just sitting, chatting. So if you can answer it, please, Yana. So if that type of salary, it is okay or halal salary for them?
The Prophet, peace be upon him, said...
And my second question...
Okay, go ahead.
Yeah, not saying it's actually a suggestion. There was last year, it was one great scholar passed away in Pakistan, Dr. Israr Ahmad. So he's more like a lecturer and very nice on the Islamic topics. So if you can just show his some like clips and videos and lectures on to know the people about his thoughts on the Islam, and his
Okay.
very mashallah, very enlightened one.
We'll look into that, inshallah. Jazakallah khair.
So it's my request.
Any other questions?
Very much.
Okay, Jazakallah khairan, Abu Radwan from India. With regards to your question pertaining people who go to work, and even if they clock in and out, but they stay all the time, but they do not produce anything, they do not really work, they just exist in the office, or they clock in, then they take off, do some other businesses, a portion of their salary is haram. What's permissible is what you work for. You get paid for what you work for. If you're required to work 8 hours a day, and your employer, whether it's a private sector or a governmental sector, require you to do certain business, then you must do it in the best form and shape. The Prophet ﷺ said, إِنَّ اللَّهَ يُحِبُّ إِذَا عَمِلَ أَحَدُكُمْ عَمَلًا أَن يُتْقِنَهُ. Allah loves that whenever any of you does any kind of work, which is legitimate, of course, He should perfect it. Perfecting your work is an Islamic teaching. Every Muslim is required to perfect not only their acts of worship and their ibadat, the fasting and the prayers, but also their deeds which are pertaining to the dunya, studying, obtaining a degree, and if you are in your profession, whether a doctor or a mechanic or an engineer, perfecting your work is an Islamic teaching. Those who go and sign up and they take off to take another job in order to make an earning to compensate for the gap between the income and the spending and all of that, if you think that this job is not sufficient for you, leave it. But to work in any job where you do not really produce anything or produce very little in order to get the salary and say, I give them as much as they give me, that's not fair, nor is it permissible. Unfortunately, it is very common in most of the Muslim countries. But this would end up that most of the income of such people is haram. Even when we take a leave for the prayer, which is mainly the noon prayer or dhuhr prayer, you can always pray the sunnah and the dhuhr and everything in 15 minutes. And others, when they take off to pray, it takes them an hour and more. By the time they do wudu, and they stay before adhan, and they hang out between the adhan and iqamah, then they make khitam salah and all of that. And the people are in lines waiting for their business to finish. By the time they finish the prayer, they say, well, it's over. The working day is over. Come back tomorrow morning. And when they come back tomorrow morning, they do not come on time, the employees. Rather, they come late, and by the time they have their breakfast and so on, this is haram. This is haram, and that time and the income for something that you do not do, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will ask you about it. One should do his or her best to prove that he is a true Muslim and he is a role model to humanity. Okay? Jazakumullah khairan. A question again from Abu Bakr pertaining a friend of hers. Her husband sent her to her father's house for a month and he has not given her divorce paper. Does this count as a divorce, and is she in the iddah? Well, if the husband did not utter nor announce or send a document saying that he divorced her, then he did not. Divorce does not fall simply by intending or by threatening. But once he says, you're divorced, or if you do such and such thing, you're divorced, and she does it, the contingent or the suspended talaq or divorce, then it becomes effective. But she did not hear from him. He did not send her any message that she's divorced. Then she is not divorced, and no one can count this as a part of the iddah. Adam from Nigeria, who is a full-time politician, and by the way, he also called on the phone afterward. I wanted to clarify things from him. He said, is it allowed for someone to elect a non-Muslim? If there is a choice between a non-Muslim and a Muslim, he is in a party where he is a full-time politician. If we have two nominees, and two people running for an office, a Muslim and a non-Muslim, of course I would choose a Muslim. Because of al-walaya, wal-mu'minuna wal-mu'minatu ba'duhum awliya'u ba'd. The believing men and women are supporters to one another. And that's why I believe the question who said that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said, لا تتخذوا اليهود والنصارى أولياء, etc. The verses which say, do not take the Jews and the Christians as your supporters or over the believers. It does not fit here, because we're simply saying if there is a choice, we will choose the Muslim. But if there are non-Muslims and there is no Muslim who's running in a non-Muslim country, then the choice will be based on the judgment of the local scholars whether this nominee is presenting an agenda or a solution for Muslims' problems or things for them, we will vote for him based on the benefit-risk ratio in order to gain benefits and avoid the harms. جلب المصلحة ودرء المفسدة. If none of the above, then we're not involved in the election at all. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Sister Maryam, United Arab Emirates. Assalamu alaikum.
Wa alaikum assalam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
How are you, sister?
I have 3 questions.
Please go ahead.
First one, that is about the prayer in traveling. Hello?
I hear you.
Okay. That is from a person traveling from Dubai to Egypt. Flight is at 8 p.m. And Adhan for Isha is 8:10. So can she pray with Maghrib from airport, Isha also with Qasr?
Okay.
Second one, I want to know that you can make Qasr from the airport itself. Huh? Second one is about plucking the facial hair other than eyebrows for both men and women. Is it halal?
Okay.
And third one, I was told that we can't make dua in the first prayer in sujood other than prescribed one. Is it correct? Normally I make other prayers also in sujood.
So you're asking about making dua in sujood in fard and in nafl.
In fard prayer only. In nafl I know that we can. In fard can we make for both imam and mamoom?
Okay.
Okay, all these are 3. And please pray for us. We are leaving to India from here. Please pray for my family, for our deen. And thank you for
Allah make it easy for you and your family and keep you firm on His deen. Okay. Bilqais, Nigeria. Assalamu alaikum. Assalamu alaikum. Okay. Sister or brother, try to call from a different phone line. Maybe inshallah we'll be able to connect next time. Thank you so much. Abdul Ra'uf from Kingdom of Saudi Arabia had a question. The question was, after the early adhan of Friday in Mecca, is it obligatory to pray 2 rak'ahs? He's talking about, whenever we are in the masjid, there are 2 adhans. Initially it was only 1 adhan, similar to the adhan of Dhuhr. But at the time of Uthman ibn Affan, he prescribed an earlier adhan to be called in the market in order to announce people in the market, to announce to them that the approach of the prayer time. They did not have watches, nor clocks, nor alarms. So it had a reason and it was legitimate. And it is maintained ever since. So that means there was no adhan at the time of the Prophet ﷺ, and accordingly no prescribed sunnah before the actual adhan for the Jumu'ah. The actual adhan, which is called right after the Imam climbs the minbar and says Assalamu alaikum, then he sits down and the Mu'adhin would raise the adhan. There is no sunnah that is prescribed or emphatic or non-emphatic. But what's prescribed is that the Prophet ﷺ encouraged men to go as early as possible to attend the Friday prayer. Most important thing is to attend before the Imam climbs the minbar. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said in a surah that's named after the Friday prayer, Surah Al-Jumu'ah, يَا أَيُّهَا الَّذِينَ آمَنُوا إِذَا نُودِيَ لِلصَّلَاةِ مِنْ يَوْمِ الْجُمُعَةِ فَاسْعَوْا إِلَى ذِكْرِ اللَّهِ وَذَرُوا الْبَيْعَ. Once you hear the adhan to Friday prayer on Friday, is'aw does not mean rush, rather leave everything and go to attend the prayer. وَذَرُوا الْبَيْعَ, and leave businesses, shut down your businesses, stop your work, because this is a must, it's a fard, and it is the most important prayer of the week. He said people will be rewarded according to how early they attend the Friday prayer. Some person who would come very early would be similar to somebody who gave in a charity as much as a camel, as a cow, or as a chicken, or as an egg. And once the Imam climbs the minbar and says, Assalamu alaikum, the angels who are by the door of the masjid, in order to record the names of the musallin, or those who attend the prayer as what time they attend, they will fold the records and will enter the masjid in order to listen to the Friday sermon and join the Muslims in this regard. So there is no specific sunnah, but those who come early are free to pray nawafil, general voluntary prayers, similar to what the Prophet ﷺ used to pray between sunrise and until 15 minutes before the zawal, or before the sun moves away from its meridian, or before the adhan of dhuhr, in order to make it very simple. You can always pray nawafil at this time, especially when you enter the masjid. There is tahiyatul masjid, and there is the duha prayer. You can pray 2, 4, 6, and up to 8 rak'ahs, 2 by 2. All of that is fine. But to name it as an emphatic sunnah that is prescribed before Jum'ah, or as the questioner said that some people said it is obligatory, no, it is not. The obligatory prayers are 5 daily prayers. And on Friday, instead of Dhuhr, it will be prayed Jum'ah, 2 rak'ahs instead of 4, because of the khutbah. There is no other obligatory prayer, not even the witr, according to the vast majority of the fuqaha. And this is very obvious from the hadith of the Prophet ﷺ, when a Bedouin came to him and said, inform me about what Allah has ordained upon me. So number one, he informed him about the ibadah of the salah. He said 5 daily prayers. إِلَّا أَن تَطَوَّعْ, except if you want to pray nafla, or if you want to pray extra voluntary prayers. So what's a wajib, or what's a must, is the 5 daily prayers. Sunan, before or after, even the emphatic sunan, none of them can we call it wajib. Wajib means if you do not do it, you will be punished for it. And if you do it, you will be rewarded. While all the sunan, if you do it, you will be rewarded for it. And if you do not do it, you will not be punished, but you will miss the reward of skipping such nafila. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Brother Muhammad from the KSA, Assalamu alaikum.
Wa alaikum salam. Sheikh, I have a small question for you.
Please.
For wudu, some people, they do wudu in the morning at home, and they put on the dress and come down, and they use the washroom, etc. And then during the wudu, they just do masa on their socks. Irrespective how clean it is, we have no idea. But we in the Asia subcontinent, we follow Imam Abu Hanifa ruling, and there we have the reference that Rasul Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam, they did masa from Surah Maida. It is clear that masa is only for the head and not on the feet when the water is abundant available to do a complete wudu. This was objected by many of my colleagues. They say you have a concession in Islam, why do you wash your feet during wudu?
No.
The second question is, and when we see, as you also see in Makkah and Medina during Hajj and Ramadan, as you are also putting on the head cap on that, I know when we pray, actually is a matter of etiquette. When you stand in front of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala offering prayers, then we cover our head, and either with tagia or gutra, etc., etc. And they say it is not necessary. And my argument is, even if you don't have sufficient clothes, and it's the time of prayers, you have to have stand for your prayers. Allah knows better what you are. But when He has gifted you so many good things, why not you be in humble and best of your clothes to do your salat in front of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala? Please clarify on these two aspects. I appreciate your reply. Thank you.
Okay. Jazakallah khairan, Muhammad. And guess what? I'm going to skip all the questions and go straight to answer your 2 questions. Because it seems that there is actually a great number of people who believe in what you said right now. And I'm going to clarify it. The permissibility or the legality of wiping over the socks or the leather shoes or the shoes which cover the ankles, as long as you put them on in a state of tahara. As you said, somebody made wudu in the morning, in the evening, anytime, then they put on their socks, which cover the ankles. Now they want to make a new wudu. Do they have to take them off? Or if somebody put his boots on or her boots on when she was leaving, and now she's going to pray with the boots on outside, does she have to take them off in order to make new wudu? No. That has been confirmed in so many ahadith and in all the madhahib of Ahlul Sunnati wal Jama'ah. All there is a general consensus among the scholars. I hate to hear somebody saying, because we're Hanafi, we don't believe in that. We gotta go back to Imam Abu Hanifa and see what did he say in this regard. The only people who do not believe in wiping over the socks are the Shia. But Ahlul Sunnati wal Jama'ah, in some of the books, they put that hadith of wiping over the shoes, the leather socks, in the category of the Aqidah, not in the Tahara or the Wudu, in faith and belief. Why? Because it distinguishes between the Sunni and others. Ahlul Sunnah wal Jama'ah believe in this as a legal practice. It was narrated by so many ahadith in Al-Bukhari or Muslim. And guess what? The most important hadith in this regard is the hadith which is narrated by Ali ibn Abi Talib, may Allah be pleased with him, whom Shia believe that he is their main source of info. Ali ibn Abi Talib narrated the hadith that the Prophet ﷺ prescribed for us the time frame for wiping over the socks for resident a day and night, and for travelers 3 days and 3 nights. So 24 hours for the resident and 72 hours for the travelers. It is a concession, and some of the scholars believe that if you have your socks on, then it is the sunnah not to take them off, rather you wipe on them. Because of the hadith in which one of the companions was pouring the wudu, the water of wudu, to the Prophet ﷺ. Then when he came to his shoes, he was about to take off his own boots. The Prophet ﷺ, or khuf, he said, leave them because I put them on in a state of tahara. So they understood from that if you have them after you have wudu, then it is better not to take them off in order to make new wudu. Rather, it is better to take that concession of just simply wiping over the socks. So now I hope this is clear that Ahlul Sunnati wal Jama'ah all agree that wiping over the socks was the practice of Prophet Muhammad ﷺ, and the time frame was determined by several ahadith. The most prominent of them is the hadith of Ali ibn Abi Talib, as I just mentioned earlier. The second, with regards to the kufi, the head cap, taqiyya, shimag, or imama, or whatever, the Prophet ﷺ had put on the qalansuwa and the imama and all of that. But it is not neither a must, nor is it a sunnah to wear a particular head cover. It actually undergoes people's customs. If you are living somewhere where people do not normally wear a headwear, can you pray without that? Yes, of course. And he just gave a very amazing reasoning when he said that, I believe that should be an etiquette, that when you're standing before Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, you have to dress up fully and you have to cover your head. Let me ask you this. When you perform Hajj or Umrah and you are in a state of ihram, you are not allowed to wear a kufi. No wonder, I see some people actually wearing the ihram and they insist on wearing a kufi while in a state of ihram in order to pray. Now they fall in a big violation because you're not allowed to cover your head, which indicates that it is permissible to pray with bare head without wearing a kufi or a cap. So even if the imam or the khatib, if you are in a country or an area which follow a certain practice and wear a certain head cover, that is okay. It's a tradition. If you want to copy the Prophet ﷺ, then wear the imamah. But I do not object to any person who's not wearing any head cover, nor is it a wajib, nor a sunnah to wear a head cover prior to praying. Wallahu ta'ala alam. What's required for men in order to pray is satr al-awra from the navel to the knees, and the Prophet ﷺ forbade one from praying with bare shoulders. Other than that, we pray with the ihram on, izar and rida. Another phone call. Assalamu alaikum. Okay, Mubarak from Nigeria. I was about to say Mabruk just in order to change the name, but that's okay. Mubarak.
Yes?
I hear you.
Yes? Salam alaikum.
Wa alaikum salam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Now,
I have one question.
yes, go ahead, please, quickly.
Is it right for a woman to stand in election?
Okay, it seems like you guys are having election nowadays. All the calls from Nigeria is about election. Okay, look into that question, inshallah azza wa jal. Okay, and now we'll need to take a short break, and after that, inshallah, we'll resume, so stay tuned.
In your standpoint of view, are there specific or certain criteria to choose your spouse or a partner to marry or not to marry? Maybe that's the question. Do we revise the quality of performance of our treatment between the family members as fathers or mothers? As they say usually, it's not what you say, it's how would you say it. Wouldn't you like to be a good storyteller for your kids? Neurobiologically speaking, child abuse and emotional trauma causes scars in the brain of the child, and this might be not easily healing. What's the exact job description of a father? Is it clothing, payments, and feeding, or other important things? Well, I think the job description of a father is merely giving him love and care, self-confidence, giving him sense of security, and checking for the points of strengths to strengthen them. What about potty training and its planning? Oh yeah, actually, it's a state, it's a condition. Fatherhood is not a body or a person, it's a state. Are you a good or skillful designer for the policy and the long-term plans of the life of your kids? Join us every Wednesday for family issues.
Please, brothers and sisters, in particular brothers, husbands, divorce is the last resort.
Even when I was given the topic, the art of divorce, I was thinking, why are we talking about a divorce?
As they say in management, do you take serious decisions when you are angry? No one is taking a very serious decision in his life, maybe in his business, while you are angry.
A divorce happening every 6 minutes.
We are not talking about enjoying the divorce, but we are talking about certain steps to be followed in order to avoid divorce or minimize the possibility of divorce or minimize the consequences of divorce. Any divorce taking place have many ill effects. So we would like to minimize those ill effects.
Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh, and welcome back. Abrar, I have 4 questions. First of all, lying down on one's stomach is prohibited because the Prophet ﷺ said that this is a way of sleeping which Allah dislikes. يَكْرَهُهَا اللَّهُ or يَبْغَضُهَا اللَّهُ. So we should avoid it, unless if somebody was asleep, he first lied on his right side, then he flipped over and he ended up lying on his stomach and deliberately. He did not really mean it, so there's no burden on him. But just to lying down on one's stomach from the beginning, that is haram, as it's stated in the hadith. With regards to the nursery rhymes, I'm not familiar with those songs because we did not have them at our time. Rather, they used to make us memorize some anashid and the Quran, obviously. But if they do not have musical instruments, no music, and the contents are halal, then it's halal, like for adults, exactly. I do not differentiate between minors or youngsters and adults in this regard, because they memorize that and they listen to it, they get used to it. So if it is halal for adults, then it's halal for youngsters. Awal from Nigeria, and I hope we don't have another election question.
Yes, just one single question, and I asked it previously on Sunday.
Is it about election again?
Yes, the question is about a dua which was said by our imams before starting any program, any Islamic program. Even you, Sheikh, you used to cite it sometimes when you used to say, whosoever Allah guides.
No, it's coming. I will get to answer that, inshallah. Yes. It is in the pending questions. It will be answered, inshallah. Okay? Barakallah fiqh. And let me tackle it right now. The hadith, which the Prophet ﷺ began his speech by saying that مَن يَهْدِهِ اللَّهُ فَلَا مُضِلَّ لَهُ وَمَن يُضْلِلْ فَلَا هَادِيَ لَهُ, and so on. And there are some Quranic verses which support that. We find in Surah Al-An'am, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, فَمَن يُرِدِ اللَّهُ أَن يَهْدِيَهُ يَشْرَحْ صَدْرَهُ لِلْإِسْلَامِ وَمَن يُرِدْ أَن يُضِلَّهُ يَجْعَلْ صَدْرَهُ ضَيِّقًا حَرَجًا كَأَنَّمَا يَصَّعَّدُ فِي السَّمَاءِ كَذَلِكَ يَجْعَلُ اللَّهُ الرِّجْسَ عَلَى الَّذِينَ لَا يُؤْمِنُونَ. Basically, when Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala wants to guide somebody, He opens his heart to accept the hidayah. But when He, as I said, I try to say it in English, and whomsoever Allah leaves astray, based on his choice, based on the infinite knowledge of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, this person chose or will choose misguidance, so Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala leaves him astray. But Allah does not wish for His servants but every good, and that's why He sent the messengers to them in order to guide them. So there are two types of guidance: Hidayatul Irshad and Hidayatul Tawfiq. The guidance of showing people the right path. That is accomplished via sending the messengers, showing the signs and the proofs, sending the revelations upon the messengers, and making the preachers succeed the messengers in order to convey the message of Allah to mankind. Then the second type of guidance, which is very specific, Hidayatul Tawfiq. Whom does Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala give success in order to accept the truth, to be rightly guided? Like the traffic signs. Some people, when they see the stop sign, they come to a complete stop. And some people see the stop sign, they read it as a Coca-Cola sign. Rather, they just drive through. This tawfiq, or given success to comply with Hidayatul Irshad and to respond to the call of Allah and read the signs properly and reflect upon them, is a gift from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. By giving success to certain people, by opening the receptors to accept the truth. This is how should we understand the meaning of مَن يَهْدِهِ اللَّهُ فَلَا مُضِلَّ لَهُ وَمَن يُضْلِلْ, by leaving him astray, not by misleading him. Do not misunderstand the text. Ali, assalamu alaikum.
Wa alaikum salam. Ali from UAE. Hi.
Ahlan wa sahlan. Go ahead.
Thank you very much. Yeah, I just was watching your program. Mashallah, it's very nice.
Shukran.
But I have a conclusion, which because you just earlier told about the covering the head. As customs, they used to do that. Prophet Sallallahu, they used to wear a hat or some covering, and they call a turban as well. And you were telling that that's not a sunnah, but you were telling Prophet Sallallahu did that. So what I was confused, are we calling the sunnah as Prophet Sallallahu practice or something else?
Are you wearing a kufi currently?
Sorry?
Are you wearing a kufi currently?
Kufi? No, not kufi.
Are you wearing a imama? Are you wearing a turban? How do you go to work? What do you normally wear?
No, not imama or anything. I'm just working in UAE actually.
Okay, does it mean that you don't have to wear it or you cannot wear it? My question, or the question of the questioner, was pertaining praying without the kufi. Is it okay or is it a must to pray without the kufi? Yes, it is permissible to pray without the kufi because it is neither a must nor is it an emphatic sunnah. The Prophet ﷺ wore the imama. Wait a minute.
The question is, as we covering the head, are we following a sunnah or...
That's a tradition.
We are following the sunnah.
That's a tradition.
That is my... which is the sunnah, actually covering the head and praying, or without covering the head and praying?
You can do either way. Both are okay. Okay?
Both of
Yes.
So that means Prophet ﷺ has prayed, they have prayed without covering.
He did that sometimes by putting on the column surah before him as a sutra. So that indicates, and this is what Imam Abu Hanifa, by the way, said. I would like to tell everybody what I normally said. We gotta make sure that we do not confuse what's cultural with what's religious. When somebody believes that you must wear the kufi in the prayer, then that's a hukm. That's a ruling. Even though I explained it earlier, but some people find it hard to accept because in this part of the world, you cannot pray without wearing a kufi. If you ask me, I like to wear it all the time, either the kufi or the imama, even when I'm wearing the suit. I like to do that. I like to copy the Prophet ﷺ in his aadat, in his traditions. But when somebody is wearing a pair of jeans and a t-shirt and only carries the kufi in his pocket in order to pray with it because he believes that the prayer will be invalid if he does not wear the kufi in the prayer, that's baseless. Okay? What's required in the prayer, in all the books of fiqh, in all the prerequisites of the prayer, according to all the imams, is satrul awra. Where is the awra of a man? From navel to the knees. Is the head a part of the awra? No. But the shoulders should be covered because the Prophet ﷺ said so. Okay. We have many questions, mashallah, about al-hurul ayn, which is mentioned many times in the Quran. حُورٌ مَقْصُورَاتٌ فِي الْخِيَامِ in Surah Al-Rahman. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala spoke about one type of the reward that He prepared for the righteous servants in heaven by preparing pure, chaste, untouched women from heaven for the believers when they enter heaven. What happens to one's wife? The Prophet ﷺ said, "Al-mar'atu li-akhiri azwajiha fil jannah." A woman who is married in this life and she is due to enter heaven, and her husband too, they will both enter heaven and they will be married there. If she, for instance, a woman was married multiple times and all her husbands have made it to heaven, and she too, she will be remarried to the last husband she had in this life. Even though he might have al-hurul ayn, etc., but she will be the queen of all. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, this is a question that the sisters worry about because the hadith and how the scholars describe the beauty of al-hurul ayn, as they mention in the Quran, that she cannot compete with them. The good news is that she will be the prettiest of all. She will be the best of all of them, and she will be the queen of those al-hurul ayn. Assalamu alaikum. Ayyub, United Kingdom. Assalamu alaikum.
Wa alaikum assalam wa rahmatullah. How are you, brother?
Alhamdulillah wa shukrulillah.
Alhamdulillah. Brother, I would like to ask a question, inshallah.
Please.
The question is, my husband and I have been apart for about 3 years now. I got married abroad, and he's not able to join me in the country where I live, which is the United Kingdom, because he doesn't have the necessary papers like the visa.
Mm-hmm.
Basically, what we've been told is that our marriage certificate is not accepted and that we need to redo our marriage certificate. But I'm in a bit of predicament at the moment because I've got two children, a 2-year-old and a 11-year-old, and I have no mahram available at the moment to take me to sort those papers out. Am I able to travel on my own without a mahram or not? Is it permissible for me to travel on this occasion? The flight to where he lives is a 9-hour direct flight. Maybe there's one stop, but some occasions it's a direct flight.
I got your question, Ayyub.
Or is it permissible for me to travel on this occasion or not without a mahram?
I got your question, Ayyub. The answer to this question, anything that Allah has prohibited or His Messenger sallallahu alaihi wasallam, these are hudud that we must not touch nor violate. except in cases of necessity. Allah allowed the person who is starving to death and does not find anything but the flesh of swine or the meat of pork and pepperoni to eat it in order to survive. فَمَنِ اضْطُرَّ غَيْرَ بَاغٍ وَلَا عَادٍ فَلَا إِثْمَ عَلَيْهِ. One who is in a necessity, he does not transgress, nor does he desire to do the haram, then there is no blame on him. If you have no mahram and you have to travel in a safe company or with the best of your ability, as Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said, فَاتَّقُوا اللَّهَ مَا اسْتَطَعْتُمْ, such as taking a direct flight. If you have friends who will take you to the airport and your husband will expect you at the arrival destination, then that is permissible because it is necessary and you don't have a mean of traveling with a mahram. May Allah make it easy for you and your husband to rejoin together. Barakallah fiki. Abrar asked about the 7 heavens. That's mentioned in the Quran several times, that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala created the 7 heavens. And also the earth, وَمِنَ الْأَرْضِ مِثْلَهُنْ اللَّهُ الَّذِي خَلَقَ سَبْعَ سَمَاوَاتٍ طِبَاقًا. وَمِنَ الْأَرْضِ مِثْلَهُنْ, Allah is the one who created 7 heavens. And similarly, from the earth, 7 layers. The distance between each heaven, scholars spoke about it in many ways, said the traveling of 500 years or whatever, layer above a layer. And what we see right now is not our worldly sky. This is the atmosphere which surrounds our planet Earth. But the sky is above all of those galaxies. And there are 7 heavens, one on top of each other. As Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said, فَارْجِعِ الْبَصَرَ هَلْ تَرَى مِنْ فُطُورٍ ثُمَّ ارْجِعِ الْبَصَرَ كَرَّتَيْنِ يَنْقَلِبْ إِلَيْكَ الْبَصَرُ خَاسِئًا وَهُوَ حَسِيرٌ. This is one of the amazing creation of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Even when we look up, you do not see hooks, you do not see pillars, you do not see poles carrying this huge roof on top of us, in order to prove that indeed Allah is able to do all things. Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Maryam from United Arab Emirates had 2 questions. If she is afraid to miss the prayer in a flight, before flying, it is the prayer time is not due yet, maybe 10 minutes later or 5 minutes later. There are 2 things. If you have a chance to postpone it until you arrive, where you will be able to pray it at the destination before the time is out, then this is one option. Or you pray in the flight itself. If you cannot stand up, then in your seat and facing whichever direction. If you know the Qibla, then you must face it. If you know the Qibla, and if you're capable to face the Qibla in the Fard, then you must face it. If you neither know it know it and cannot face it, then you pray in the direction of the plane, in your seat. But there is another alternative, which is it is permissible in cases like that to pray Jam'a and combine the Isha along with the Maghrib. That's called Jam' Taqdeem. If the airport is in outskirt or out of the city limit and it's considered a journey to the airport, then you're allowed to shorten the prayer too. But if it is, or you're living by nearby the airport and it's not considered as a travel to you to the airport, then in this case, you will pray Isha 4 rak'ahs as usual, but it will be combined with Maghrib. Blocking the eyebrows for both men and women is haram, and it is a major sin, because the Prophet ﷺ stated in the sound hadith, لَعَنَ اللَّهُ النَّامِصَةَ وَالْمُتَنَمِّصَةَ. So thinning, blocking, shaving the eyebrows, all of that, whether for men or women, is entirely prohibited. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala guide us to what's best. And since we have a couple of seconds left, praying or making dua in your sujood, is it okay to do that in Fard too, behind the Imam? Yes, it is okay to do that in Fard or in Nafl. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala accept. أقول قولي هذا وأستغفر الله لي ولكم. Until next time, السلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته.
Allah is my heart's speech, your mercy mercy is what I beseech. Keep in my heart your remembrance and in